Hello and welcome back. In this session, we are going to explore a real-world penetration testing scenario, and that will be done by demonstrating how attackers exploit the Samba service vulnerability on the Metasploitable server. It will be a step-by-step walkthrough so that anyone and everyone can understand. I'll be taking you through how you can get into the network, discover the Samba service running on a host, identify vulnerabilities behind that service, and run a real-world exploit in order to take over that vulnerable server. We are here on my terminal, and the first thing I normally would do is when I connect to the network, I'll look for my IP address, because these IP addresses are dynamically allocated by the DHCP, or the dynamic host configuration protocol, right? My IP address right here is 192.168.17129. In this regard, I already know that the network range is 192.168.1.7, so I'm going to run a network discovery scan to discover other machines that are on this network, that are up and running on this network. So I'll do nmap sn, and I'll just run it with a /24 to scan the entire network. That will be fast since I'm running on my local area network, and I can see my default gateway right here, and I can also see the Linux machine we are looking for. And you're going to be like, how did you know that that's a Linux machine? Well, it's my network that I set up, so I know that it's a Linux machine. But if you don't know, you can do banner grabbing or operating system fingerprinting, which means you run nmap-or to get that, or you can run an nmap script known as SMB-OS discovery in order to still arrive at the same result. The next thing we are going to do is I'm going to run a service version scan, nmap-s-V, sorry about that, -s-V, and I'm going to run it on port 445. SMB run on port 445 and 139. I hit enter, and we will find out if this service is running, if this port is opened and the service running behind it is a service we can exploit or not. So what I have here is the port is 445 running over TCP, the state is opened, and it is running NetBIOS. The version is Samba SMBD 3.x to 4.x, and this is where we have a small problem. We then now need to run a scanner, a Metasploit framework scanner, auxiliary scanner, to find the exact version. We need to have maybe a 3.2 or a 3.3, but it shouldn't be a 3.x, right? Because if it is a 3.x, we are not going to be very successful. So I'm still going to switch to root right here, put in my password, and my password was wrong, so I'm going to put it again and launch the MSF console. So I'm going to launch the MSF console. That's the MSF console running. The next thing I want to do is explain a little bit what Samba is. So Samba is a version of the server message block SMB that is used by Linux systems to communicate with Windows systems. SMB, the server message block, was developed by IBM but later on adopted by Windows as a protocol for its systems to communicate with each other, share files with each other, and so on and so forth. But then Linux systems needed a way to communicate with Windows systems as well, and that is why the Samba team developed Samba. It is a version of SMB, which means they took SMB and they built Samba from it, which is used by Linux systems to communicate with Windows systems. Now our MSF is up and running. I'm going to search for sorry about that, I'm going to search for SMB version like this. It says unknown. It says unknown. Did I mean search? All right, that's my mistake, my bad, sorry. It's search, right? And we have up to 117 modules that are presented to us. But what I would have done to narrow down this search was put SMB_ version, and when I do that, you see we have been presented with just one auxiliary scanner, which is SMB version, right? It's just a normal scanner. It's not been checked, but I know it is going to do a great job for us. So I'm going to clear the screen, and I'm going to use 0. I forgot to tell you that the index number was 0. Computers start counting from 0. Funny enough, right? So let's look at the options that are there. I'm going to do show options, and the R port is not needed, but we can put 445. The R host is needed, so I'm going to set R host to 192.168. Oh god, sorry about that. 192.168.17.128. Enter, and then I will run this. It should be a very fast scan, right? And now we have the version of the Samba that is running on this thing. Samba 3.0.20. I can copy this, right, and I can head straight to another terminal right here, and I can use search exploit to find out if there is any exploit available for me to use and exploit this version of Samba. When I hit enter, you can see what we have here, and we have the format string exploit. We also have the username map script, and it is available on the Metasploit framework, so I'm going to use that one. I'll head back to the Metasploit framework, and I will clear my screen, go back of the scanner, and I will search for the user map script, username map script, something like this. Now we have 2, but I'm going to take the one that is excellent. It is a user map script. It is not just a scanner. The module is an exploit, so that is good for us. So I'm going to use 1, hit enter, clear the screen. I forgot to show you sorry, there is something that I need to clarify right here. So when I search for the user map script and then I use 1, you can see that it is using a payload which will give us a reverse netcat, which will give us a reverse netcat, a very important payload. When payloads like reverse netcat, reverse Metasploit reverse TCP, these are payloads that give us some form of a reverse shell. A reverse shell is when the payload triggers the target machine to connect back to us, right? Whereas a bind shell is us struggling to connect to the other side. But reverse shell payloads are more powerful than bind shell payloads. So let's look at the options that are there for us to use. Share options. We have the listening host already set to our Kali box. We have the listening port set as well, but we need a remote host. Very, very important. We need a remote host, and because of that, I'm going to set our host to 192.168.17.128, which is our target machine. Hit enter, clear my screen, and then I can do show options as well to make sure that everything was good. All right, so we have the R host is set, the R port is 139, everything seems good, and then I'm going to run it. When I run it, it has started a reverse TCP handler, which is now waiting for a connection from the target machine. You can see we have a command shell session that is opened on that machine. When you have something like this, it means that you are already in the system, right? So let's confirm that by running sysinfo. It says command not found. I expected that. That's a Metasploit command, but we are using netcat in this case, so hostname should give us that. The hostname is a Metasploit table. Let's do ls, and you can see we are right in the root folder. So to confirm that, you can do pwd. We are right in the root folder. We are in that machine, right? Let's see if we can take a shell it found a shell at bin bash, and let's do if ifconfig to confirm that we are working as Metasploit table. And now that we are here, you could then change the password of this thing, right? You could then change the password of this guy to make sure that you now have a backdoor that you can use to come all the time to this machine. Or you can do user add and you add a user. You can do user add to add a user, or you can run pwd to change PASSWD to change the password. So let's ls cd to the home directory list again, and we have ftp msf admin service user. I want to cd to msf admin, enter ls. You can see some files here that we have created, and if you want to do something bad, you can delete all the files or you can leave everything, but I'm going to just delete everything. rm-rf star means that we're deleting just everything. We do ls, nothing is there. We can do we can touch, right? Touch would normally create a dummy file. Touch is a Linux command that creates files with nothing inside. hacked.txt. ls, we have that. You can download things from here. You can do a lot of other things. So I'm going to exit that. It says you cannot exit. I'm going to quit. It says not possible. What if we do exit -y? It says you cannot do that. So we need a netcat command that can exit this thing. But we have done what we wanted to do. It was just to show you how you can discover a vulnerable service, look for an exploit, and then exploit that service. So I'm going to do Control C to send a signal interrupt, Y for yes, and then we are out of there. Back and exit -y to make sure that we are out of here. And then that was it for this very short lesson. I hope you learned a lot. See you in the next one, and bye bye.